Good morning, Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to ICSAN Corporate Governance Platform on ECO 89.7 FM. Today, Wednesday, July the 31st, 2024. I'm Olabisi Omidiri. This morning, our focus is on roles and functions of the company secretary in corporate governance. My guest this morning is Miss Peace EKERENAM, ACIS. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I also have with me in the studio Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIX, from Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning.
Good morning, BC. Good morning to you, our guest, Miss Peace EKERENAM, ACIS, and all our listeners. Good morning.
Like I did say earlier, our focus this morning is on roles and functions of the company secretary in corporate governance. Ms. EKERENAM, let's start off. What roles does a company secretary normally play in organization?
Okay, the company secretary as a principal officer in an organization performs some key roles, which include ensuring governance within the organization. The company secretary is a compliance officer. He is actually a governance champion, so he ensures governance within the organization. The company secretary also plays the role of a confidential advisor to the board, leveraging his deep knowledge of the organization and company sectorial practices. He offers impartial insights to the board on governance, compliance, legal matter, and duties of individual board members. The company secretary provides support to the board and individual board members. The company secretary is also an administrative officer. He performs administrative duties such as maintaining vital statutory records and registers, managing and the convening and conduct of board meetings as well as meetings of the company. He attends those meetings and also takes minutes. The company secretary is also an information officer. He ensures good and timely flow of information to board members, shareholders, and other stakeholders. Summarily, the company secretary acts as a gatekeeper of corporate governance, providing advice, managing meetings, and ensuring compliance within an organization.
All right, so what are some of the roles stipulated for the company secretary under the code?
Under the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, typically in Principle 8 of the Code, the company secretary has the following duties. Duty to provide the board of directors individually with detailed guidance as to how their responsibilities should be properly discharged in the best interest of the company. Duty to coordinate the induction and training of new directors. Duty to assist the chairman and chief executive officer in coordinating activities regarding the annual board plan and administration of the board. He has a duty to notify the board and its committees of upcoming meetings as well as other matters that warrant their attention. The company secretary under the code also has a duty to compile board papers and ensure board discussions and decisions are properly recorded and communicated to relevant persons timeously. He also has a duty to guide and advise the board and the company on matters of ethics, conflict of interest, and good governance. And finally, under the code, the company secretary has a duty to ensure good flow of information with the board and its committees and between senior management and non-executive directors.
Okay, so why is the company secretary often referred to as the sounding board on corporate governance?
Indeed, the company secretary is a sounding board of corporate governance. The company secretary is a key advisor to the board, helping the board navigate the complexities of corporate governance. He is the conscience of the company. The company secretary is a corporate governance watchdog within the company. He is a corporate governance evaluator. He provides support to the board and offers guidance on corporate governance. More so, the company secretary is a bridge builder within the company. He facilitates communication and acts as a bridge between the board, management, and shareholders. Accordingly, providing expert guidance and support to the board and the company secretary is the sounding board on corporate governance. This further underscores the importance of a company secretary in an organization and the need to have a company secretary with gravitas and objectivity to provide independent guidance and support to the board.
Well, the code says company secretary should be a person with relevant qualifications and competence necessary to effectively discharge the duties of his office. What qualifications are being referred to here?
Generally, according to the Companies and Allied Matters Act, the company secretary must be a person of requisite knowledge and experience to discharge the functions of that office. However, to qualify as a company secretary, especially in a public company, a person must either be a member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, in other words, a chartered secretary, a qualified legal practitioner, a member of any professional body of accountants recognized under the Nigerian law, a person who has held the office of the secretary of a public company in recent past, or a corporate body or firm consisting of members who are qualified legal practitioners, accountants, or chartered secretaries.
The program is still ICSAN Corporate Governance Platform on ECO 89.7 FM, and our focus is on the roles and functions of the company secretary in corporate governance. My guest is Ms. Peace EKERENAM, ACIS. Moving on, the code also provides thus, subject to the provisions of extant laws, the appointment and removal of the company secretary should be a matter for the board. Why is this provision necessary?
Okay. The core functions of the company secretary are to the board, and majority of his functions are performed in close collaboration with the board. Even though the company secretary provides sectorial services to the AGM and facilitates shareholders and stakeholders relations, its ultimate responsibility lies with the board. The company secretary is accountable to the board through the chairman. It is therefore appropriate that the board appoints a company secretary that they can work with. And since the board is the appointer, the board should be able to remove the company secretary. So I believe that this provision gives the board a chance to appoint someone they can work with, thus fostering a healthy board environment.
Wonderful. Why do you advise a company secretary should do, what do you advise them to do, if he or she is working with a difficult chairman who is dominant and would not allow any sentient opinion from any quarters?
Okay. Balance of power is a central issue in corporate governance. Balance of power at the board requires that no individual board member or chairman will exert too much pressure, power, and influence on other members of the board. Rather, the board is to take decisions collectively. Unfortunately, one of the challenges a company secretary may face is a chairman with a dominant personality and who is averse to dissentient opinions. The code provides that no individual should dominate the board's decision making, and the chairman's primary responsibility under the code is to ensure the effective operation of the board, such that the board works as a group towards achieving the company's strategic objectives. It is for this reason that the board separates the office of the chairman from the office of the chief executive officer. So where the board has a chairman with a dominant personality, there is a risk of poor governance. Therefore, it behoves the company secretary, on perceiving the dominance of the chairman, to advise the chairman and the board on the principle of balance of powers. The company secretary in his advice should express concerns on stifling dissenting opinions and emphasize the importance of diverse views for effective decision making. The company secretary can also advise the committee responsible for nomination and governance in the organization on annual board evaluation and promoting board development processes. However, the company secretary is not to be confrontational, but is to diplomatically identify and calibrate the problem. This may be a gradual process taking place over a series of board meetings and personal engagements with board members. However, the company secretary must remain resolute, advising the chairman and the board on the entrenchment of good corporate governance and boardroom policies.
All right.
Additionally, the company secretary must keep records. It is advisable for the company secretary to keep records of incidents where dissenting opinions were suppressed. The company secretary must maintain clear record of board meetings, decisions, and discussions, and also reduce his advice in writing. These documentations would be useful if further action is needed. And finally, the company secretary, in the circumstance that the chairman of the board refuses to hear the advice of the company secretary, as a matter of principle, may resign, giving reasons for his resignation.
All right, on the last note, would you say ICSAN training empowers company secretaries to discharge their responsibilities effectively?
Certainly. ICSAN training along as equipping company secretaries and intending company secretaries with the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively discharge their responsibility. ICSAN training makes a balanced and well-grounded company secretary. The role of the company secretary requires knowledge and mastery in a broad range of fields, including law, accounting, finance, management, governance, and sectorial practices. Oftentimes, our basic trainings are not enough for this role. For instance, a lawyer may have a good knowledge of corporate law, but little or no knowledge of corporate financial accounting or administration. Likewise, the accountant. But the role of a company secretary requires the knowledge of law, accounting, administration, governance, and so much more. So ICSAN brings together the core subjects on company sectorial services and trains company secretaries on them. And furthermore, its continuing education program helps members to update their knowledge and skills and keep them informed of new developments in the corporate world. So I dare to say ICSAN training is empowering and highly recommended for every company secretary or intending company secretary.
All right, and thank you so very much, Ms. Peace EKERENAM, ACIS, for speaking on the roles and functions of the company secretary in corporate governance. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
ICSAN continues in a bit. All right, we take announcement now with Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN.
Thank you very much, BC. The announcement we have for our listeners today is just to inform our existing and prospective students that the registration for the Institute's December Diet Professional Qualification Examination is ongoing. The lecture for the Diet has already started, and the exam itself will hold on the Tuesday 3rd and Wednesday 4th of December 2024. So this is an opportunity for you to begin your journey to become a charter secretary. A charter secretary is a high-ranking professional who is basically trained to uphold the highest standard of corporate governance, effective operation, compliance, and administration. So charter secretaries are the primary source of advice on conduct of business, and is a profession for the present and the future. So I enjoin you all to register for this, the coming Diet of the Institute. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayode Ketefe, for that announcement. On that note, we wrap up today's edition of ICSAN Corporate Governors on Equate 9.7 FM. Our focus today was on roles and functions of the company secretary in corporate governance with Peace EKERENAM ACIS. I am Olabisi Omidire. Do join in same time next Wednesday for another edition. Bye-bye.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitute the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. EKERENAM members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.iksan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of IKSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. IKSAN, the hub of governance professionals.